Hi, my name's Jack. Welcome back to the Red Path for episode 3 of WAAC Weekly, the show where we look at Team Red Path news as well as World Eaters out in the world. Okay, so just jumping straight into the tournament roundup. World Eaters played in 32 games that I could see of Strikeforce Strikeforce size this weekend just gone, including in 4 GTs and 4 RTTs. In the GTs, there were 3 2 and 3s and a 4 and 1. We'll get onto that. And there were 4 RTTs with 3 2 and 1s and an 0 and 3. That means the highest win rate yet since starting to do this show. We had 16 wins total out of 32 games for a 50% win rate. Or as Dara would say, perfectly balanced. Fine. So, Team Red Path news. We have some. It was quite a busy weekend for Team Red Path this weekend actually, with 3 members of the ITC team in the field this weekend. So first up, Aaron Nelson, Ferrous Oxide from the Discord, running a word bearers list at the WA Masters GT in Australia, numbering 49 players. So he finished 4 and 2, a very solid performance, earning a 15th place finish, beating Guard, Chaos Knights, Votan, I think, and also, by the looks of it, a Bai. I couldn't find a listed army list for his 4th win. And then losing to Leviathan Nids. That's 2 for 2 in terms of playing Levy Nids at a tournament for Aaron, and also Unari, who are getting some traction, particularly among some really skilled players are playing Unari at the moment, and making them work, which is really cool because Unari are probably the coolest Space Elf faction, I think, in my opinion. All of the caveats. A really cool list, as you can see. I obviously don't know too much about word bearers. Master of Possession to be expected, with Pact of Flesh for the heals and the res. Terminator Bomb with Mark of Zinch to ignore the damage of the first failed save. Black Rune, of course. Possessed, 2 Vindicators, love to see it. Another Master of Possession, just as a backup, yeah, with Pact of Flesh. Some more Cultists, some more Possessed, some Rubrics with loads of Flamers, yeah, to be expected. Some anti-tank in the form of a Forge Fiend with Exoplasma, and then 3 Obliterators. Yeah, so Obliterators are really cool, especially in word bearers, because you can buff them up a lot with you give them the 4-up invul and you can heal them, bring them back, and re-rolling hits with Power Fists on the charge is pretty nice, it turns out. So they're actually quite a lot better, and I think the synergies just in general with word bearers and Demonkin are really good, and I get Obliterators are Demonkin, so that's good to see. Next up was Luke Dickin, graduate from Discord, running World Eaters at the Glasshammer GT number 11 event in the UK, with 21 players. Finished up at 2 and 3 with a very respectable 12th place. A very cool list, something that I've really been wanting to try. So Abaddon, the Exalted Bloodthirster of Khorne, with Great Axe and Indomitable Onslaught, so the phase cap. And then 10 Bloodletters to fill out the patrol. An Apostle with Illusory Supplication, of course. So some 6-man squads of Berserkers. That is probably for the power level to make sure the demons fit in. Squad of 5 Raptors. The Rune Butcher Bomb with the Chain Fist, which is nice, and some Flamers. 6 Possessed Marines, again, probably to bump the power level up. And then a Drill. I think this is Dara. I guess aside from Abaddon, this is Dara's wet dream. This list, I think. It's really cool. It's something that I really want to try. I need to find an event to try it at. It's a really strong pressure list that some armies will not enjoy playing with 2 phase cap models. And yeah, if you don't deal with them, then the Terminators will just walk up the field completely unmolested and beat your face in, basically. And then you've got Possessed and you've got Berserkers, presumably all in the drill as well, which is also a thing. So that's really cool. And then finally, the final member of the ITC team in action this weekend was me. I ran World Eaters at the Kent War Games GT, November GT in the UK, so 46 players. So there were a number of issues around the tournament. I knew going in that the terrain was going to be quite bad. There we go. I knew going in that the terrain was going to be quite bad. It was a very lazily written player-placed terrain system that was very open to exploitation. So a couple of the greatest hits included 4-inch exclusion rather than 6, which meant that some of the bigger models just could be completely blocked off from going over the halfway point, as happened multiple times with me, as you'll see when I get down my list a bit. There were no limits on placing in your own half, so you could place in your opposition half, so that led to shenanigans around home objectives. There were no limits on how close to the edge of the board you could put pieces, so people were putting the bigger pieces facing outwards in the very corner, so they basically became unusable and just uninteractable. So shooty armies did that quite a lot, and it just made the game less fun to play. And then there was some other stuff around pairings, and it was just generally quite shambolic. And I don't really want to descend into a rant, so I'm going to leave it at that in terms of the organisation. My list was very much designed to take advantage of the poor terrain, or the not only was the rules quite poorly written, there was not much terrain allotted for each table. And so I wrote a list that was basically shooting and big stuff that didn't care about not having much terrain, because I wasn't going to be able to hide it anyway. So a Disco Lord with Flames of Spite, Gorget of Eternal Hate, and the Technovirus Injector. So he actually only ate one vehicle all weekend, but it's the first time I've ever run a Disco Lord, and I very much enjoy putting him down and calling him Lord of the Dance. So the whole theme of this list, to be honest, is I wanted to rock up to a table and people say, "What the fuck is that?" as I got my models out. This list was 27 models. It was hilarious fun. Yeah. Warpsmith, again, first time I've ever run a Warpsmith competitively, but he did his work. 10 cultists, doing cultist things. 2 squads, 5 berserkers with icons. 1 chaos spawn. 2 land raiders, 1 with a havoc launcher because points. And then finally, Lord of Skulls. Well, not quite finally, because I had Abaddon as well. But a Lord of Skulls with the Gatling gun and the Demon Gore cannon, which is the 18-inch heavy d6, strength 10 -4, d3 +3 damage. Or the reverse Vindicator cannon, Demolish cannon, as I realised it was very early on. Yeah, as I say, the list was basically designed to be quite hard to shift, even with no terrain. Started with 3 CP, so I could, in theory, strat reserve the Lord of Skulls if I wanted to. Most often it just meant I was able to pop -1 damage on the Lord of Skulls for the first 2 turns if anyone decided to shoot it, which a lot of people did. He didn't die that much though. I think he only died in 2 of my 5 games. And I don't think anyone was able to kill both Land Raiders and the Lord of Skulls in any of my games. And that will become impressive when I talk you through my games. So this list ended up 4-1. I credit the terrain massively with that. I beat Space Wolves in my first game. It's a very new player. I rolled 7 hits with my first 4 las cannon shots, which was funny, and deleted a Repulsor Executioner. I then played Orcs Blood Axe's list with a lot of commandos that he deployed very aggressively and then didn't go first and then didn't redeploy them back. I think he was hoping to slow down my army. What he actually did was sacrifice 14 commandos and one of Boss Snikrop, the commando special character, when Abaddon and 5 berserkers murdered them. The Lord of Skulls was able to get into the middle ruin, touch on, see through it, and shoot his plane and like most of his Deathcopters, I think, in turn 1, and it just meant that he started the game with like 1,500 points, which, yeah. So then my first game on day 2 was another Orcs list. It was Goths. He was unfortunate. He rolled poorly at a very crucial moment where his Knob on Smasher Squig charged Abaddon. Abaddon was on 3 wounds. He rolls 5d6 on 4 pluses. He does mortal wounds to Abaddon, and rolled 1, and then the actual attacks he whiffed really hard, and so Abaddon turned around and basically backhanded him off the table, and then wrapped up an entire flank on his own on 2 wounds, which is unfortunate, but I mean I've been on the receiving end of poor rolling as well, so I'm not too guilty about it, I guess. And then my game 5 was against White Scars. A lot of Vanguard vets, Chapter Master, Chaplain, some Eliminators, some Blade Guard vets, Judiciar, Librarian, and then 3 Baby Knights with +1 to hit and +1 damage against vehicles. Vehicles? Titanic. One of the 2. Either way, he was shooting damage 4 autocannons into my Lord of Skulls, which I did not like. So, yeah, he failed the prayer on a 2-up to give his Thunderhammers +1 to wounds twice, and ended up sending 5 Van Vets with Thunderhammers into Land Raiders despite failing because he had to. And I mean, there was still damage 4 Thunderhammers at that point because of the White Scars thing. And I then consciously realised that Marines with Thunderhammers wound Land Raiders on 5s now, which is disgusting. And they're also only AP2, so I have a 3-up save against them. So he basically just bounced off my Land Raiders repeatedly with various Vanguard vets, and then Abaddon countercharged and killed all of them. I got a lucky early charge. He misplayed a little bit, and I got a lucky early charge onto his Chapter Master with 5 Berserkers, and he was my Skulls target. And so the Thunderhammers were going in without rerolls, and also I got 10 points really early in the game. And I think he might have tilted a little bit as well. But my list was kind of just did fairly well into his, and he wasn't that suited to dealing with mine. And then my defeat actually came at the end of day 1. I lost to... so another ruling was that the Emperor's Children Zinch Flamers combo was legitimate because of the poor rules writing. So I ran into that. I played Emperor's Children, so Blastmaster spam and 15 Flamers with one of the guys, the Herald on foot, I can't remember his name. And I got obliterated. Still didn't kill all 3 Land Raiders. It still didn't kill both Land Raiders and the Lord of Skulls. He killed the Lord of Skulls, killed one of the Land Raiders, but the other Land Raider was still surviving at the end of the game. Yeah, he was a very good player. It was run by Ewan Bedford Cooper, who finished 5th at LGT with Chaos Space Marines. So I went in not expecting too much, to be honest. It was kind of a hard counter to me. He had the Warlord with the Warlord trait, Demon Prince with the Warlord trait to pick one thing and reroll all core units, reroll wounds against them. So Emperor's Children with Blastmasters that get exploding 6s turn 1 at damage 4, rerolling all wounds. Pretty strong, turns out, against Lord of Skulls. So yeah, not too salty to have lost that one. The event was, as I say, 4-1 is obviously a great result. It's a little bit soured by the fact that the event was run really poorly. There's no other way to say it, really. The event was run really poorly, and it's left a bad taste after that. But yeah, that's me done. As I said, if I've missed anyone, please get in contact. If you're not playing World Eaters particularly, I may not be able to see your results unless I know what I'm looking for, specifically what event and your name, what I'm looking for. So get in contact if I've missed you, or if you have an event coming up, post it in the Discord so that we can all follow along. So let's look at other World Eaters performances then. So in terms of other noteworthy performances at some RTTs, Chris Rayner at the Steel City RTT in the UK went 2-1 to finish 4th at a 14-player event, running an interesting list, a really interesting list with Abaddon, Dark Apostle with Zal, the Khorne Demon weapon that gives +D3 damage. In fact, I have the list here, I can just show you. Yeah, so Zal, Omnipotency as well, so a bit of a smash Apostle. A new take on it as well, because I think the assumption was that he's got Flames of Spite as well. So I think the assumption was that the Black Mace was the build you normally go for, but Zal, the Crozius is 2 damage, so 2 plus D3 damage is pretty nice. Cultists, some big squads of Berserkers, some Possessed, some Rhinos, and then a Phase Cap Blood. This is the Bloodthirster that I want to run. So Indomitable Onslaught gives him the 8 wounds per phase cap. Argath, King of Blades, on the Great Axe is +1 damage and ignores all hit and wound modifiers. Really nice into the Black Rune bomb, which is popping up quite a lot. And also makes the sweep profile on the Bloodthirster 16 attacks at strength 8 -3 damage, which is also a really nice breakpoint. And is something that I do want to try when I can justify buying a Bloodthirster for myself. Yeah, so that was really cool. He beat Iron Warriors and Thousand Sons, and then lost to Farsight Enclave's Tau. And then the other really strong RTT performance that I noticed was Richie Lowe. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Richie Lowe at the Gathering Point Alpha RTT went 2-1 to finish 7th at 16-player event. Pretty cool list, including Abaddon and Cypher. Just funny. Then Demon Prince with Gorget and Violent Urgency, some Cultists, 30 Berserkers, 2 10s and 2 5s. Butcher Bomb with a lot of Power Fists and some Melters in there. Also pretty nice. Exploding Melters, stuff we love to see. 3 individual Spawn, and then 3 Rhinos. That's a really cool list. A really sort of, yeah, like bread and butter World Eaters staples. Yeah, so in terms of stuff, in terms of units to watch, I guess Abaddon continues to pop up. I don't think he'll ever not until we get our new book, just because, or he gets nerfed into the ground, which is a possibility with the points changes, but I think the points changes are probably coming in around the same time as we're anticipated to get our book. I'm not sure we'll have much time between the two. I think estimates are sort of February for our book now, which, and the assumption is straight after LVO for the points and new mission pack, which would put that to January, and also I guess the data slate as well, at the end of January. So yeah, the other thing that I've noticed popping up is the Exalted Bloodthirster with the face cap. We all know he's good. It was the trade-off of CP versus, because a lot of World Eaters lists at the moment, almost the first thing people put on the list is 8 to 10 Terminators generally, spending 2 CP for Red Butchers and then another CP for Black Rune of Damnation, just to make them harder to shift and really killy, and also give a little bit of psychic defense, because that is actually quite nice. And spending that 3 CP, and then you realistically have to spend another 2 CP to bring an you have to spend another 2 CP to bring an Exalted Bloodthirster, because it has to be in a patrol. Leaves you looking a bit tight, especially if you then also want to take the Argath King of Blades relic, which in my opinion is really worth it. But I think I have the vestiges of a list rolling around in my head which swaps out the Terminator brick for a Possessed Bomb instead with Black Rune, because Toughness 5 is quite a nice breakpoint, and it also saves 2 CP, which frees up CP to spend on the demons, which is something, yeah, I need to find an event to try that out, because I think that'll be fun. And then finally, on to my new wrap-up segment, which I'm gonna call the Great Game. Basically, I thought it'd be interesting to track playing or tournament playing populations for each of the main Godaligned legions. So obviously we're expecting World Eaters to have a fairly significant bump in the next 3 to 6 months. But I thought it'd be interesting to just see how big of a bump it was going to be. So I've started tracking it now, because I am thinking ahead. So this week, World Eaters, or as of this week, World Eaters are currently at the bottom of the pile, with 174 players worldwide having submitted scores at ITC registered events around the world. Emperor's Children are in third with 208. That's not altogether unsurprising due to sort of recent popularity with the Blastmaster list. I think also a lot of people who run Emperor's Children potentially list as just generic Chaos Space Marines, or if they're bringing Flamers, which hopefully will be eradicated soon, they might list as Chaos Soup. So that is something to keep in mind. So that number might actually be a bit bigger than the 208, because I was a bit surprised that it wasn't bigger, to be honest. And then a big jump for 1,000 Suns, which is to be expected because they have their own book. So 1,000 Suns are on 1,083 players, and then Death Guard are currently in the lead with 1,275. Yeah, so Nurgle currently ascendant at the moment, kind of to be expected given the year we've all had, or the couple of years we've all had. Yeah, it's something that I want to keep an eye on, and we'll be able to see just what the impact of the new book is on World Eaters in the competitive scene when it comes out. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of that that final news segment. The video in general, please, if you're watching, well, you are watching on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe, help us with the algorithm, help us show your friends, all of that stuff. Hate watch us is the tagline now appears to be. If you're not in the Discord, join the Discord. We have loads of great discussions about lists of not just World Eaters, Chaos Space Marines in general is our like general flavour, but yeah, we like to talk about pretty much anything in Warhammer 40k, and yeah, so come to the Discord, bully Dara. That's a rite of passage. It's all good. It's not that hard to do. Yeah. So yeah, I think that about wraps it up. Join us again next week for episode 4 of WAAC Weekly. Please give me another name. I don't like saying it. Please. Please, please, please. And of course, stay healthy, stay safe, and kill main burn.